Our next section of CBA will deal with desktop publishing concepts, such as managing text flow, newsletters, brochures, and flyers. Newsletters are documents that are used to inform customers or clients or employees about events that are going on and specific topics that your company or organization is concerned with. Flyers are used to advertise events or products. Typically, their goal is to sell something. And then brochures are more informational. They are typically printed in landscape view, have 3 columns, and folded in a trifold format. And they're informational. They have a lot more text to them, and they give information about a place or a product or a particular subject or concept. Desktop publishing is used to create these special types of documents. Desktop publishing basically is the combining of text and graphics to produce high quality documents such as those newsletters, flyers, and brochures. And we are going to learn how to create in this lesson a newsletter, and then later we will look at the flyers and the brochures. Let's start a new blank document. And to begin with, let's add some text in. Key in =, RAND, open parentheses, 1,3, and then press enter. And this gives us some text to work with. Before this, though, let's title our newsletter. So go to the beginning, press enter to create a new blank line, and then press the up arrow, and let's give our newsletter a title. And here we have our title. Let's center our title. Okay. Now we have our first text that we want to work with. Next, let's create a bulleted list for our newsletter here. We're beginning to start a newsletter. And so go up here and turn on bullets. On the Home tab, click the Bullets button to turn on bullets. And let's type in and then press enter twice to get rid of the bullet. Now we're going to create a numbered list after the bulleted list by clicking the numbering button on the Home tab. Okay, now that we have this information in, let's manipulate it a little bit. Newsletters typically are designed in columns, much like a newspaper. And many times it has narrower margins. Let's start by changing our margins. Let's go to the Page Layout tab. Let's change our margins. And let's choose Narrow. Let's select all of the text that we have typed in, but don't select the title of the newsletter, just the text beneath it. And let's turn on columns. Click on the Columns button, and let's tell it to do 2 columns. 2 columns will give you 2 columns of the same width. 3 columns gives you 3 columns of the same width. Left gives you a narrow left column, and a wider right column. And right gives you a narrow right column and a wider left column. And then, of course, you can go into more columns and customize your width and however many you want. The maximum number of columns that you can put is 11 on a portrait size paper. Let's go ahead and put it at 2 columns. And let's put a line between our columns. And let's go ahead and have equal column width. And click OK. Now you see our text is organized in 2 columns, and when we select text, typically Word tries to make the columns of equal length. But if we don't want that, we can change that. Let's click in front of this first paragraph, press Enter to start a new line, and then go up with the arrow key, or click up there on the blank line, and let's type in a title for this. Okay, now let's go to the end of this paragraph and hit Enter. And let's type in a title. Okay, notice that we have this title here, but our information is in the next column. To move something to the next column, you can force a column break. Click in front of Desktop Publishing Documents. Go to the Page Layout tab. Click the Breaks button drop-down arrow. And you see all the different kinds of breaks that you can have. Right now we're going to do a column break. And notice that puts your title over here now. Now, let's go to the Home tab and turn on Formatting Marks. What you see are your normal paragraph marks that you're used to seeing and your tab marks. But you should see a couple of new things, one being a section break. Anytime we format one part of the document differently than the rest of the document, you have to have a section break. This main title is not in columns. It's not arranged in columns. But the next section is. And then the other new symbol that you see is a column break, where we have forced text into the next column. Now let's go above our numbered list. Press Enter. Go back up and let's turn off our numbering. And we want a title for this section. Hit backspace to remove that indent we've got going on there. And let's title this. Okay, now, I don't like the case that I have. I should have title case on here. So let's go change the case of this title. Go to the Home tab. Click the Change Case button in the font group. Go to the font group and find the Change Case button and click it. And let's do capitalize each word. Okay, so now we've turned on title case. Go to the end of this numbered list and press Enter. And we are going to insert a section break here. Go to the Page Layout tab, go to Breaks, and look at the section breaks. Next page inserts a new page and a new section. Continuous starts a new section but keeps it on the same page, and that's the kind we want. And then there's one that has even pages where you start the next section on the next even page, and then odd page starts a new section on the next odd page. We're going to use continuous. Okay, and notice we get a continuous section break. And we are going to go to columns and tell it one column. And we are going to insert information here. Go to equals, RAND, open parentheses. Let's do one paragraph and 4 sentences, close parentheses, and press enter. Okay, notice this information is not in columns, but this information is. We've inserted a section break. Let me hit the backspace button there. And I'm going to delete, if you have these, I've got 2 extra paragraph marks. I'm going to delete those out. I'm going to insert another continuous section break. And let's type in a title for our last section of our newsletter. Now let's center the title and insert one more section break. And this time let's do columns. Let's do 3 columns. And we want to turn it to left alignment. Control L, left aligns. Okay, now let's put some sample text down here in this section. And press enter. And we've got a newsletter here. Okay, now our newsletter needs to be formatted attractively. Let's go to our title up here and let's click the Home tab and let's format text effects for our title. I chose this one right here. And let's use the Grow Font button till it's at 36-point font for our title. Now let's click in front of the heading of this first section here and also in front of the heading of the second section and move them both down. And let's format the paragraph formatting on those two to be 0 and single. Select this paragraph mark as well, 0 after, and single line spacing. Click on this actual heading here, and we're going to add a light blue shading, and we're going to add a bottom border, but we're going to do a custom border, so go into borders and shading. Go down and let's choose one of these double lines. And we only want the bottom border. So to only get the bottom border, click these buttons to remove all except for the bottom border. And make sure it says apply to paragraph and click OK. Let's double click our Format Painter and then click on this heading and this heading. Scroll down. And let's click on this heading. And let's center that text again. Let's format this paragraph to have some shading. And let's give it an even lighter blue shading. And give it an outside border. Not real crazy about that having the same border as our main headings. Let's just give it a plain box border. Go to Borders and Shading. Let's choose the single line. Leave it at a half point. If necessary, click the box button. Look at your preview. Make sure it says Apply to Paragraph and click OK. Okay, if we scroll this down, we see we have a pretty professional looking newsletter beginning to take shape. But we have this white section here that we need to not leave blank. Click up here at the end of this paragraph and press enter. Go to Insert, and let's insert a clip art. Let's insert a clip art of a computer. I'm going to insert a picture of this girl working with a computer. I'm going to center that picture. Go to the Home tab, tell it to center that picture. And let me resize it a little bit here to move that up so that it looks nice. And if you scroll down, you see we have, or zoom down, you'll see that this is pretty nice looking. Notice here when you get to the end of your document, as you run out of room, the columns are carried forward to the next page. The last thing we want to do to our newsletter is to format a page border. Go to the Page Layout tab, click on the Page Borders button, make sure the Page Border tab is selected, and let's put on there a double border. Let's change the color to a medium colored blue. Let's make it 4 points and click OK. Now we may have to do some adjustments here if it cuts off any of our text. So we'll look at it and see what we need to do. Click OK. And it's actually perfectly wrapped around our text. If we need to make adjustments to the page border, you can go into Page Borders. You can click on Options, and then you can tell it to place it different ways on your paper. Like I can change it to, I'm going to change it to 6 points all the way around. Click OK and OK again, and notice that moves it out further to the edge of my paper. Now you have to be real careful with some printers, like my printer at home. It would cut this bottom border off because it's so close to the edge. If you don't have a printer that will print edge to edge, you would need to make sure that your page border is in and your margins are set where that your printer won't cut anything off. Okay, now we notice that our newsletter is a little bit too much to fit on one page. Most newsletters are printed on standard size paper, but some may be printed on different paper sizes. You can change your paper size on the Page Layout tab and click the Size button. You see some standard sizes here. Most documents are letter size. Legal size documents are the same width as letter size but are 3 inches longer. And then you can also go into more paper sizes and customize specifically what size paper you want. We are going to use the legal size. We're going to change this to legal size, and we can do that in this dialog box here. And since we have put sections and things in our document, let's make sure that we choose to apply this to whole document. If not, it's going to change our section breaks up, and everywhere we have a section break, it's going to create a new page, and we don't want that to happen. So click whole document right here on the apply to, and then click OK, and scroll down. Notice that all of our text is now fitting on one page, and we have a lot longer document. Instead of it stopping at 11 inches, which is where it normally is, we're going to have a 14-inch page. And of course, we're not going to see the full 14 because it stops. It just shows us how much is between our margins, which we have 13 inches between our two margins, our top and bottom margin. So this printer, or this type of paper, we would have to manually feed into our printer here because it wouldn't fit into our normal paper tray. Now, finally, our newsletter is has some white space on it. We wouldn't really want white space, so maybe we would want to insert a word art here. And let's type one here. It's up here. We're going to move it down here. And we're going to move it down to this section here. And let's type in some new text. And let's change our font size so that that all fits on one line there. Let's see if we can just type in 30 and that'll work for us. Nope, my period is still there. So let me go down to 28. I'm going to move this over in here. I'm going to change my text wrapping on that because it's not looking real great where it was. Change the text wrapping to square. And then here at the end, let's put in a clip art. I searched for news and found this clip art. And it seems to match our topic of our newsletter here, which is about newsletters. And if I want to look at my newsletter, I can scroll down, I can zoom down to see what it's going to look like, what its layout's going to look like when printed. Okay. Now, I'm going to zoom that back up. And I'm going to select my text down here. By default, Word is left aligned on the text, and the hyphenation is turned off. Words automatically wrap to the next line. But if we would like to maximize the use of our space, then we can turn on hyphenation and have words split at the line, at the end of the lines, and have it hyphenated at the syllables. So let's select this information here. And let's go to the Page Layout tab and choose the hyphenation. And we're going to choose automatic. We don't want to manually tell it where to split each word. We just want it to do it for us. So click on automatic. Notice that the word document has been hyphenated and split to go to the next line. And over here, formatting has been as well. Let's justify align this text so that it lines up evenly on both the left and the right margins of the columns. And you see, let's click off to deselect that, and you see that this looks much more like a professional newsletter. Let's go ahead and click in this paragraph, turn on justified alignment, and we'll leave the hyphenation off of that. But let's, in this paragraph, triple click to select it, page layout tab, turn the hyphenation on to automatic if it's not already there, which it is. And then let's go and justify the alignment. And look through there, and we have turned on our hyphenation, and we have justified the alignment to make the text line up evenly on both the left and right margins of the columns.